Hey everybody, welcome to the H.E.A.T podcast. I'm Karyn Bryant.
And I'm Alan Jobin.
And lots going on. We'll talk about UFC Zagreb. Alan wants to try his hand at pronouncing some names.
Not a chance. I'll be stuttering a lot this episode.
It's all right. There's some tough names, but there were some good fights. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Junior's big win and some of the other guys. Like the cool thing about that card was it's really a showcase for some up and coming talent in the heavyweight division. So we'll get into that. And then we'll also kind of look forward to UFC Tampa, which is going on this weekend, and we'll kind of mainly focus on Glover and Rashad and Lyoto and Dan, but I think there are some other things there as well that are worth pointing out. I asked you before we recorded if you go to the movie. Do you go to you don't go to get out of the movies much?
I mean, you have one kid. Yes. I have one kid, but we're still not at that point where we're going to the movies that much. The most movies I've watched was on my flight to Australia. Nice. International flights have great movies, but I haven't been to the movies.
Well, I asked because I had asked if you had seen Batman versus Superman. I'm curious what you guys think about it. I saw it, and Wade actually got a little mad at me because he goes, "What'd you think?" And I go,
"I liked it."
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I think the general consensus that I've seen online is that it wasn't that impressive.
Here's my problem. I did it, and I literally was like, I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it.
I didn't dislike it.
And he's like, we don't get to go to the movies much. We don't get a night out very often.
I see.
And I'm like, I know, but I can't.
I see where you got mad there.
Right.
If Karyn ever asked you, do I look pretty? And you say, well, you don't not look pretty.
I'd be like, you son of a bitch.
It could cause something.
But my point is that it's probably better than you maybe have heard or think it is, and it's not really about Batman versus Superman. It's like a it's about that, but it's not. It's about more than that. So I just think it was poorly named is my issue with it.
Without
because
giving away
that's really
spoilers.
not. Yeah, it's not really. It is, but it's not. But anyway, I enjoyed it enough.
All I know about it is from the text that I saw Joe Rogan posted, where he's like, If Superman, who is an alien who could shoot lasers out of his eyes and bend cars in half, is gonna fight a millionaire guy with
there's no way he could. That's
gadgets.
Insane.
That's not a fight.
He can't lose.
Don't murder him.
Oh, for Christ's sake! All right,
Kryptonite.
He can't. Superman cannot lose to Batman. It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make.
It doesn't make sense.
We might get a lot of complaints.
Okay, no, and that's not a spoiler, by the way. So just so you know. At any rate, it was two big men versus each other at UFC Zagreb. Junior Dos Santos fighting Ben Rothwell. Ben Rothwell coming in hot, 4-fight win streak, and in those within that streak, he had knocked out Overeem. He had submitted Josh Barnett, the unsubmittable guy. Also took out Matt Mitrione and. I think it was Barra.
The Gogo Plata.
Right. So two submissions, two TKOs, came in really on a real positive streak. But of course, he ran into Junior Dos Santos, the former champion, who finally, I hate when people are like, the old guy's back like this, but it's like, but he is. And I thought he looked fantastic.
Sharp. But he looked, I want to say he looked in his best form. Maybe it wasn't the most exciting fight, but as far as looking sharp, I didn't find it that exciting. The 300 kick.
That's so funny. Yeah.
If you could push kick, almost a 300-pound man across an octagon, that was sick. That was dope. And his striking looked crisp. He mixed it up very well. The body shots. There was even a part where Ben Rothwell, I don't know if you remember, it might have been the second round, but he threw a side kick, landed on Junior Dos Santos. Junior Dos Santos threw one right back, and you instantly could see the difference in technique and speed right there. And it just that was pretty much the formula for the whole fight. Dos Santos was just a little bit too fast for Ben, too sharp, too experienced. Ben's experienced, but he had the better striking.
And the whole thing is, we talked about this before, is that unorthodox style, and it seemed like in this case, Junior being so on point and so orthodox in that he was doing everything right, it almost didn't give Ben a chance to get in there and do his unorthodox stuff because everything was just coming at him the right way and it didn't give him as many openings. Does that make
sense? Because his sharpness in Junior Dos Santos, he used his footwork not to get caught up in the switch stance, the unorthodox activity of Big Ben, and he had a really good game plan. I think him moving over to ATT really paid off. It didn't. I think he's been there for 2 fights now.
He has.
The last fight obviously was a loss.
Yeah.
But I think it was just, I don't think it really had an effect. The camp wasn't an effect. It was just, he wasn't the better man that night. But I think you're starting to see the effects of the camp. And also it takes, anytime you go to a new coach or a new gym, it takes a little residual time before you have to absorb stuff. You can't really absorb things in one training camp. 3 months, it doesn't really get imprinted into your DNA. So after being there for a number of months, you're starting to see a little bit of tweaks here and there on his footwork and his sharpness, and he looked phenomenal.
Yeah, and the thing is too, you know, he's after that Overeem fight, he said, you know, I just didn't adapt my strategy in there, and you know, so he was really frustrated by his performance in that fight because I think he knew he should have done better, and he just didn't adapt. He didn't change what he was doing and just played the same thing over and over, and it just didn't work for him. What I do like about it, if you think about years ago, some people used to say, well, Junior was too big, too muscular, too swole, too this, too that, and I feel like he did give up some of that muscle mass, but I don't think he lost anything by that. I think he looks. I think it's good.
He still can knock out anyone in the weight heavyweight division.
Exactly. And the thing is too, the thing that does still worry me a little bit about him is when he comes in for the exchange, and then when he goes out, and I'm like, oh man. And so the whole time I'm watching this, and you know, Junior's doing everything right, but you know, it just takes that one in his heavyweights, right? Yeah. So I just kept almost, not that I was waiting for it to happen, but I did kind of keep waiting for Ben to get one of those off. Like, and he kind of got some in, but I really did think like, you know, you can't exhale if you're a junior guy. Like, you couldn't exhale till the very, very end because Ben could have still done it.
Yeah, and I thought both guys took shots very well, including Ben. Ben, you know, the one thing that I really liked that Junior was doing is he was implementing a lot of body strikes. Yeah. He was throwing straight rights to the body and straight jabs to the body. And as soon as I saw that happening and I realized that was kind of part of the game plan, I thought it was really going to slow Ben down. Yeah. But he took him pretty well for being a guy that was, you know, he weighed in just at the limit at 265 pounds, so he might have had to cut. Ben, his physique isn't like a ripped up one. That's just his physique. So he's kind of soft in the belly. I thought those hard body shots were going to slow him down. Yeah. But Ben continues to push forward. He ate some big overhand rights. He ate a lot of right hands to the body. He just wasn't the better fighter, but he continued to push forward, didn't slow him down. They both took shots well. They both looked good. Yeah, well, we're going to keep going on into round two on this because we want to talk about the whole division. Here's the thing. You know, Junior has said he believes he can be champion again, and based on that performance, I think, you know, he looks like the kind of guy that can still go in there and give a lot of damage to a lot of people. So I saw somebody was like, freaking DeSanto, some comment like, he hasn't knocked anybody out. Like, see, that doesn't make me mad that a heavyweight plays a smart fight, and it's not like he wasn't trying. I don't think it wasn't that it's not trying. And how many people knock out Ben consistently? I mean, Ben can get hit by a truck and he still comes forward. So he fought a smart fight. That's Kenosha power right there. He didn't knock anyone out, but I thought he had one of his better performances inside of the octagon. Yeah, and the thing that was after the Sparta kick, I love it. That dude, he went flying across the octagon, and then you see it, like, I mean, luckily he got up pretty quickly and stuff, but I think it was either between the third and fourth or the fourth and fifth when Ben went over to the corner and he kind of put his arms over the side of the octagon, and then you could see, I mean, not only was his face, you know, getting really beat up, but you could see like, oh no. You know, like, this guy is coming in, there was so much riding on it, and he was saying how he'd like to be the underdog, but this is, you know, it was a must-win for both of them, really. A must-win for him to get a title shot, and a must-win for Junior to not be on two losses. Right. So do you think then that Junior should get the next title shot? Because obviously also upcoming we have Overeem versus Arlovsky, and then we have, you know, the title fight with Fabricio and Stipe. Later on in July, Kane versus Travis Brown. So I'm curious what you think, who should get the next title shot. Currently, and just as a reminder, Verdum's at the top, then we have Kane, Stipe, Overeem, Ben, and Junior. Now granted, while we're doing this on a Monday, they haven't updated that yet, so I'm guessing Junior and Ben are going to flip-flop, right? Right. But those are the top guys. Right now, Travis Brown is actually number 7. You know, he's fighting Kane, who's number 1. So if Travis beats the number 1 guy, that's a pretty sweet argument. Yeah, it would, like you said, it would be a sweet argument. You beat the number 1 guy, in theory, do you become number 1? It depends, I think, on impressive fashion, on style. Okay. That's when style points, like in college football, sometimes you have to have a little swagger in order to get those kind of points. And if he can go in there and outstrike and sprawl on a couple takedowns of Kane's and outstrike him and put him away convincingly, and then not only that, you have to get on the horn, you have to get on the microphone, and you have to tell Dana White, you have to let the fans know, you have to create a buzz and energy. And that's kind of, you know, that's the name of the game. That's the sport in the UFC right now. But if Brown could do that convincingly to Cain and get some hype behind him, he would need that. I don't think even squeezing out a 3-round or 5-round victory would get him the shot. I don't think it would allow him to leapfrog over these other guys.
And I feel like Travis needs to beat a Junior and a Cain,
a top 5
you know
guy.
what I mean? I don't think Cain would be enough for him just to get it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that's so tricky. You know, Verdum and Stipe are fighting. I don't know if that will change hands or not. You know, I don't know. I feel like, would you put Ben with the loser of that fight? Or do you let Ben wait around, get the loser of Cain and Travis? There's a lot of interesting things going on.
Fights right now.
And for some reason, and I want to know your thoughts on this, for some reason, and it happens to me too, I don't put Overeem's name in the mix as much as maybe I should. I have no reason not to, necessarily. If he beats Arlovsky, you know, a former champ and this and that, I just feel like he wouldn't be as challenging for some of these. Now, if Verdum wins that fight, and we know that could be a rematch, but I feel like I don't know. It just seems to me that some of these other guys may have a better chance at winning a title fight. Maybe that's what it is.
I agree that although I love Overeem,
yes.
I don't see his name in the mix just yet. I think the loss to Ben, the knockout loss to Ben, hurt him in that sense. And then I think even if he squeezes out or has a great victory over Arlovsky, I don't know if a victory over Andre Arlovsky is enough to put him in that title contention. I think we have to wait and kind of see how this all plays out, because most of these guys in the top 5 have set fights right now, right?
Yeah.
So we have to kind of see not only who wins and loses, but as I said, who wins in devastating fashion and makes note. It's interesting, and you're probably going to touch on it, but we were just talking about this before the show. All of the guys, every heavyweight that we're looking at right now in the top 10 is 30 plus. Some of these guys are closer to 35 to 40. I mean, obviously Hunt's 42.
Yeah.
The heavyweight division.
And it's interesting, and we're gonna in round 3 we want to talk about some of the other guys on the card and some of this upcoming talent. But here's the thing: Junior Dos Santos, out of the top guys, is actually the youngest heavyweight at 32. Out of all those guys in the mix, Stipe's 33, Cain's 33. But you know, like when you look at Cain and Junior, even. Because some people argue, and I don't know how you feel, like that Cain stole some of Junior's soul in those fights. Like, do you know what I mean? Because he wasn't the same for a long time,
and years off of his life.
Right. And it was like, so every time I watch those fights, I'm like, oh my God, thank you, these are amazing. And then I'm like, oh my God, what am I watching? Like, Junior's been too tough for his own good sometimes. You know, the injuries, unfortunately, Cain has suffered. You know, you can't wrestle that long and not get hurt. They seem older than 33 and 32. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stipe seems the freshest to me out of that mix.
I agree. And when you told 33. Me Stipe is 33. Stipe looks 26 compared to some of these other guys in the division. And it's exactly like Karyn's saying. These guys are averaging an age around like 33 or something.
35 and a half is the average age of the top 11 heavyweight fighters.
That's crazy. That's crazy because, and I'm making this number up, but in most cases in MMA, most guys are retiring around 29 or 30. So for the top 10 heavyweight division guys to be around 35 and a half, that's just phenomenal. And that just goes to show that they keep saying that these older guys, the bigger guys, they get better with age, with wisdom, with knowledge. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Well, and we should touch on between rounds here. Frank Mir, the verdict is still out on that. You know, he was flagged for a potential anti-doping from USADA, and so we're going to kind of have to wait and see. Obviously, if they give him any kind of punishment, he'd probably just retire. I would imagine.
Yeah, obviously.
At 36, he would retire, and there's nothing else for him to prove.
He's done everything. And Frank Mir's a smart guy, by the way. I mean, he as soon as he was notified that he was flagged by USADA, he went out and put a post out right away. He said, before you pass judgment on me, please let me explain, wait for this to overcome, because there's no way I took anything. So I don't know what happened, but I would have done the exact same thing. If I felt I was 100% completely innocent, I would let my fans and supporters know, look, don't pass judgment on me. I didn't take anything. Let this resolve itself out first. So good for him for doing that.
Well, and also, as we've seen with Yoel Romero, like he said, it was in a supplement. Turns out it was.
Yeah, go figure.
Go figure.
Yeah.
So there were some other big dudes fighting in Zagreb. The Black Beast, my man.
We have become a fan club over here for the Black Beast, and he delivered again,
Dude,
man.
He did. So did you expect that? Because, obviously going into that one, it was like, ooh, Gonzaga could choke him out, I mean, obviously Gonzaga's knockout power too. But the Black Beast went in there and just kind of weathered the storm there and got the knockout late in the first round. I was impressed with him.
He's dope. I like it. He's evolving as a fighter. I remember watching him years ago on Access TV, I think, when he was fighting maybe in like Legacy or something like that. And he really didn't know much what he was doing. They just discovered this beast. This black beast of a man, and he can knock people out, and so they just brought him into the MMA world. And he, his MMA IQ wasn't that high, as far as being evolved, a well-rounded fighter. And now you see him going to the ground against Gonzaga, who's a high-level black belt, and he wasn't doing technical jiu-jitsu escapes, but he was playing it safe. He was knowing not to give his neck up. He escaped off the mat. If Gonzaga gets on top of you in side control, and you get off of the mat within less than a minute, I think that's
a victory.
That's good. That's a victory. His cage defense looked well. His anti-wrestling looked very well. And then, of course, after Gonzaga tried a couple takedowns, he got tired. Black Beast capitalized on it.
Black Beast, I would like to see.
He's up and coming.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see him drop a couple pounds. I mean, just because.
I don't want it. I like
no, just because I feel like he'd be even better. And I don't think the source of his power is coming from that. Do you know what I mean?
From his core.
I don't think it's. I think the Black Beast could drop 20 pounds and still be dangerous. Like, for example, Francis Ngannou. When you look at this guy, okay. It reminds me, and I actually spoke to our good...
The Predator Francis,
No, bad dog. Attacking more my daughter's toys. When you look at Francis Ngannou, when you see a heavyweight who's cut up, like, that's when you're like, we might, that's what I'm saying. Like, the athletic heavyweights now, I think, are doing more. When you look at Stipe, when you look at some of these guys, I think you can have that athletic body and be powerful. Obviously, we saw, that he can be very powerful. I think Ngannou, I talked to my buddy Sheik Congo about him. He's also French.
I was just about to compare
I know,
guys.
You got to. Yeah, I mean, it seems like an obvious comparison. But I talked to Sheik about him, asked him if he knew anything. He said, yeah, he is a powerful guy. He actually wants him to get with a better gym, though. He says, he's kind of young in MMA and, has a lot of potential. He just kind of wants to see him go to a place where he'll get
probably
get
staying loyal
coaches.
still.
Yeah,
but it's a tough one,
But he's like, he's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, Francis, he's got some of the best uppercuts in the UFC right now. I love it.
He's got those long arms, too. He looked it from, like, yesterday.
Exactly. He's throwing shots from so far away when guys think they're safe, and he's throwing these powerful uppercuts, and he's throwing them from both sides. A lot of times guys have a good uppercut, a good lead uppercut, or a good right-hand uppercut, but he throws them from both angles. The guy's a killer, man. I mean, you saw the guy that he went against was no joke either. What was his name? Curtis Blades. Razor Blades. This entire card had
some good nicknames.
It was like, who's got the best nickname? Razor Blades versus the Predator.
Right.
But this guy was only 5-0, Razor Blades, and he came into the UFC and really impressed me, man. He showed his athleticism and he showed that he was a force to be reckoned with. But
wrestling's ridiculous.
Yeah, he was really good, man. I was really impressed at 5-0 to be that.
Well, he was this crazy wrestler before, and he's a guy literally that his friends were like, dude, you should come down and try to fight. Like, he literally wanted to go to the Olympics. That was his dream, was to be an Olympic wrestler, and it just didn't work out.
And he just caught on to his striking.
But then he found out that, he may be actually just sort of more of a natural fighter even.
He did great against Predator up until Predator started landing and kind of found his rhythm. But speaking of, while we're on the fight with Francis, he's a guy that, man, a fun matchup. Maybe this doesn't make sense because I think that the Black Beast probably just punched his ticket to the rankings, maybe the top 15. But man, that would be a fun fight. The Black Beast against the Predator. They're both big men. They're both strikers. Be a good show.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because talking about the rankings there, like some of the guys down in the lower part. There's room for movement. There's room for Derek Lewis to pop into the top 15 for sure. And he and Roy Nelson agreed to fight each other. Like, I guess the story was they were at a fight and they were sitting close to each other. They're like, hey, I'll fight you. Yeah, you want to fight? And then they called Dana over and they shook hands. So that was hopefully going to happen at UFC 200. Derek's hoping for that. And then when this fight came up and he was like, well, I'll take it anyway because he wasn't really, the original opponent. But he's like, figured he could probably still do the fight in July. He didn't. He did. It's not like he got hurt. And so I think maybe he could do that. Like if he could fight Roy Nelson,
that'd be a fun fight.
That would be a great fight. And if he did well against him, like somebody as experienced and obviously powerful and good as Roy Nelson, I think that could do well for him. It's some good up and coming talent in the heavyweight division. So that'd be kind of nice. So in round 4 here now, we want to look ahead to UFC Tampa, and we got a main event now between Glover Teixeira and Rashad Evans. Of course, this wasn't supposed to be the main event. It was supposed to be Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson. Kukui got hurt. He's got like blood and fluid in his lungs.
Yeah, which is interesting that that it happened so late in camp. It makes me wonder if this was something that he's been fighting through, battling throughout camp, and hoping that he could make it. And then at the last moment, he just kind of pulled the plug and said this isn't safe, or if it was something that occurred, during a hard training session at the very end of camp. So it's interesting. But Tony, I know him personally. He's a great guy. I respect him. And he had a post that pretty much to me summed it up, and I didn't have the question after that. It was a picture of his wife who's very pregnant right now. And he said, I'm injured. I have fluid in my lungs. The doctor said it would not be smart to fight. I've got more important things right now with my family. So take some time off, let him have his baby, get healthy, and then come back.
Yeah, he's a future champ, I think. It's just going to be a matter of time. And, Khabib gets to stay on the card against Horsher, a newcomer, which I think is a little frustrating. I kind of would have liked to see Khabib in there with somebody that we actually are familiar with.
I've seen the fans. I read a little bit of the comments. A lot of the fans were kind of, saying that, the UFC is protecting their favorites and this and that. I mean, you don't really need to protect Khabib. He's a monster. But you have a guy who a lot of people are saying is kind of the best guy in the division. He just doesn't have the belt, obviously. And then they throw him a newcomer to the UFC. It kind of didn't make sense. But I also imagine that had to do something with, they probably called the top 10 guys and said, who wants to fight Khabib on 2 weeks' notice?
Well,
and they said, hell no.
But Cowboy wanted it. That was the whole thing, is that Cowboy gets in there and he goes, I know a guy. And so then they go at it. And then it turned into this whole, it was crazy because then he said Khabib said he signed the bout agreement. Cowboy said he signed it too. Then Khabib says, Cowboy pulled out with an injury. Cowboy's like, that's bull crap. It turned into this whole crazy weird thing on Twitter. But regardless, that's not the main event. Glover versus Rashad is, and I just put out, we have an interview with Glover that we've just put out, so you can find it on our Facebook and on YouTube. And I'm supposed to hopefully be connecting with Rashad today. But sugar. Glover picks it. The phone rings. Glover picks it up, and they're like, "Hey, Glover, can you fight at UFC Tampa?" He says yes. Then is like, "Oh, who am I fighting?"
My boy.
Come on. I love that.
Yeah, I was telling Wade this earlier. For me, it's like when I get a timeline in my head. Okay, I want to fight in March. I don't care who it is either. It's like as long as they get me a fight in March. And he probably had the same thing. He was probably like, okay, I'm gonna start peaking at this time. I want to fight. I'm
healthy.
Itching to
get back. Good. Right.
Exactly. So, and then a guy at his level, it's like he's not gonna duck a fight anyway. Yeah, but kudos to him.
Well, yeah. So Glover is currently ranked number 4. Rashad is number 7. Glover is Glover's last couple of fights. He beat Patrick Cummins and he took out OSP.
Yeah.
Rashad, as we know, came back after a couple-year layoff and had that fight with Ryan Bader, and Ryan Bader won it. Rashad just didn't pull the trigger in that fight.
A lackluster performance.
No disrespect to Ryan Bader, who's a tough guy, but Sugar just didn't really pull the trigger. Just didn't show up.
He didn't have a flow in that fight.
He didn't show up. But before then, he had beaten Chael and Hendo. So Rashad, he's funny. We know that he's getting nearer to the end of his career and stuff, but I still feel like he has a lot of fight in him because, when you lose 2 years to injuries and stuff, I mean, that's so frustrating, as we know with Dominic Cruz, who that comes back. I think it's going to be a good fight. I don't know what it's going to happen because they're both good wrestlers. Glover is a fantastic counterpuncher, but with Sugar, when he wants to box, he's good.
He's good. So, will we see the sharp, snappy, throwing feints, faking shots?
Faking shots, mixing up the levels too. I mean,
that's the best Sugar. That's the best Rashad Evans that we've seen inside the octagon. Was he doing that his last fight against Bader? Hell no. He just didn't look. He looked very. He didn't want to pull the trigger. This is a good fight and would be a great comeback for Sugar Rashad Evans. If I had to put money on it, I wouldn't put money on Rashad Evans, just looking at his current resume, his history of how he's been fighting. He hasn't been active, and he didn't look impressive against Bader. But if he could get his takedowns going, man, and just get some takedowns, start tiring him out, and then, you know, open up his striking as well. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see, but I think it's going to be a tough fight, being that Glover has good takedown defense. Yeah, good wrestling is on his own.
He does have good wrestling, and we saw what he did to OSP, a guy who's gigantic. I mean, you know, when you compare the bodies of OSP and Sugar, you know, OSP is so much more to deal with in terms, and he just commanded him on the ground. Like he, you know, he was totally in control there. It'll be interesting though, because, you know, they are both well-rounded, so it is one of those, it could play out anywhere. And, you know, you guys will see if you check out the interview with Glover, but like he's not a game planner. He even says, you know, he's like happy-go-lucky. Yeah, he's like a happy-go-lucky dude. He's just happy to be there, but he doesn't specifically worry about game planning. And I'm going to do this, and if this doesn't happen, then I got to do that. Like, he just really is kind of going to go in there and go with the flow. And I hope Rashad does the same thing, because I think you need a strategy, but at the same time, when you start doing that, you get that paralysis by analysis, right? If all of a sudden you're doing, oh, my strategy's not working, now what do I do? Like, and I feel like maybe that's what's bothered Sugar the last couple of times, and why he didn't get off, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. He hadn't been in the ring, in the cage for a while, and so he was kind of overthinking it and hesitant to pull the trigger. I'm hoping that he learned his lesson. He got the ring rust off that last fight, and we see the normal Rashad Evans. He is, like you said, he's older in his career. He might not be as explosive as he once was, but the last fight against Ryan Bader was not nearly 100% Rashad Evans.
That's not the Rashad we've seen before. And so the co-main event now is Lyoto Machida versus Dan Henderson. And as we know, this is a rematch. They first fought at UFC 157. Lyoto won by split decision. I remember being at that fight. Yeah, I was at that fight. It was the night when Ronda Rousey made her debut against Liz Carmouche. And for the record, by the way, Ron and I actually joked about this one time. She came out of the octagon, and I was standing because I was trying to leave, and you know, if you're in the press room, you can't leave, and so then she came over, and we were both like, hey, and I
throw you out of the way.
No, but I gave her like I was like, hey, good job, and it turned into this really weird thing. And,
awkward moment.
Yeah, and it's very funny. But I remember that night specifically, and I do remember watching Lyoto and Dan, and I remember it was one of those fights where, and I am a Lyoto fan for sure, love Hendo too, but you know, Lyoto's fans love to argue and say, you didn't do anything, and it wasn't like
Lyoto's fans were arguing.
Hendo's fans were saying that Lyoto didn't do anything. He didn't beat Dan up. He just didn't lose.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. I like how Lyoto fights, and I like that evasiveness. Yeah. But I think in this one, maybe he'll have to be a little more aggressive. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on. I kind of see. I picture this fight in my mind, and I picture the exact same thing happening as the first time. I don't remember the first fight that clearly, but when I think about the stylistic matchup of Dan Henderson, who's aging, I know they keeps being like the word of all these older fighters on today's episode, but a lot of these guys, you know, are at the end of their career, and Dan is not a mobile guy, never was from the beginning, and at this age, he's not going to be very mobile. If he catches you with the H-bomb, you're going down. Yes. But being that Machida is such a mobile guy, he's going to play on the outside, look for the counter strikes and stay out of danger. I see the same thing happening. Lyoto either finish squeezing out a victory, or maybe catching him with a liver kick and hurting him, maybe trying to finish him with ground and pound. But I don't see Henderson winning this fight.
Yeah, you know, and it's interesting. They had a media day last week, and I had to be at UFC tonight. But Wade handled all the interviews, and he's got interviews with Hendo and Lyoto and Beneil. For this Florida card. But you know, we were talking to Dan about it, and the interesting thing too is with him getting a little older, sometimes maybe the refs stop the fights a little bit sooner. Like, so he's got to be really careful that if he does get tagged, defend effectively, you know, defend smart, get up as fast as you can or whatever, because there is sort of this tendency, and maybe even if the refs don't want to admit it, that they are looking at a guy who's a little bit older, and they might call it off faster.
It's at their discretion, and I actually like this. I like referees using their knowledge of the sport and the fighter if they're going to break it up or not. If you have a guy pro debuting, are you going to let him take a beating like that? No, you stop it early. If it's a main event and you have two world world-class fighters and there's a lot of money on the line, there's a lot of at stake, you let the fight go. And if there's a guy at the end of his career who's taken a couple knockout losses, there's no point in letting him take an unnecessary beating. It's not like he's trying to get the belt back. He's just fighting right now because the fans love him. He loves to fight, and that's how he makes his money. So if he goes down with a kick or something from H.E.A.T and he starts getting hammer fisted, and the ref steps in and the fans are pissed off.
But
come on, man, we want to see him have a career after this.
I know, because he's beloved. Like, I don't want to see anything bad happen.
You don't want to see him all beat up.
No. But with Lyoto, the loss to Yoel Romero came after the loss to Luke Rockhold, and I feel like, a lot of people, maybe he rushed into that one too much because Yoel Romero is a beast. It
was a quick turnaround.
Yeah, to go into there. So now he's taking some time off. You've probably seen him at the gym. I'm expecting Lyoto to look real good. I feel like he's still very dangerous.
I'm really interested to see how he looks as well, because I'll be honest with you, I'm at Black House and I haven't seen him at much at Black House as normal. He's always bounced back and forth between Kings and Black House, and that's just, all of us fighters do that. We come to Black House for certain aspects, then we go to other places. But he seems that Machida has push a lot of his camp now at Kings MMA, where he's doing a lot of striking, obviously with Rafael, but also some wrestling and jiu-jitsu and everything like that. So I'll be interested to see if maybe he found the right sparring partners over there, or something that he found in his camp that he liked, because he's been more at Kings, and I'm really wishing the best for him.
Well, they're aggressive. I mean, that's certainly one thing that Rafael Cordeiro teaches, is that aggression.
Very much.
And so if you can put together Lyoto's natural gift for evasiveness, and that when he does come in, though, let's say they heightened up that aggressiveness, that dude's gonna be dangerous.
It's a dangerous man right there.
My goodness. He always looks good. One of the ladies' favorites.
Yeah. The new Machida, because I'm sorry, Machida, but if you guys don't remember, when Machida first came in the UFC, he had a unibrow. Oh man, we're gonna have to spar so hard.
I know he's gonna kick
I hope he doesn't. I hope he don't watch this show. But I'm calling you out. You used to have a unibrow, Machida. Before you got the belt, you had a unibrow. You had kind of a snaggle tooth.
Oh my God.
Your teeth fixed, and you were soft, man. You were kind of soft. At 205, you weren't as ripped up.
No, he wasn't. 185 is better.
When he won the belt, like he got his hair did. His unibrow, fixed his teeth, shredded up. The Machida, oh man, I just gave away all your secrets, Machida.
Well, I forget who did it. Somebody did a whole chart on Shogun too, that when Shogun had the one brow, like he was more dangerous or something like that. And so somebody actually, I forget where it is. If somebody finds it, they should put a link in the comments. But there was like some flow chart of how Shogun performed with or without the unibrow. And I think he's better with the unibrow. So maybe it's a source of power. It's like a Brazilian power.
But when Shogun had the unibrow, he also seemed to be a lot more jacked back in the day. He doesn't have the physique that he did back in Pride. But that's a whole other
story.
Just saying.
But look at you. I'm just saying.
Leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Also on that fight card, though, Rose Namajunas and Tisha Torres are going to be going.
Dope, man.
Well, that's just a great fight. I like both them, and Rose coming off that performance against Paige just looked phenomenal.
Phenomenal performance.
And also, from Kings, Beneil Dariush is in there against Mike Chiesa, which I think is going to be a great fight as well.
Yeah, man, that's a good fight. They're both great guys. Michael, he's always like got this fight of the night type. He gets beat up, but for some reason, he'll go on the ground and choke out the best black belt. He chokes everybody out, man. You don't want that guy on your back.
No, and just ever since he won Ultimate Fighter, we met him way back then, and he's just a good dude.
Super chill.
It's hard to root against him. You know what I mean? Like whatever. I just and Beneil's a good dude too. I mean,
Yeah, cool guy. Real cool.
So that'll be fun. And then of course the following week we have the John Jones situation versus OSP. So we have a lot to talk about in the coming weeks. So my point is,
we'll be busy.
Yes, we'll be busy. So you're picking Lyoto and you're picking Glover. So you got a Brazil.
That would
you got
be
a
my
Brazil
picks.
in the top.
That's who I would put my money on. Always picking Lyoto, but Glover. Let's see what happens with Rashad. Dude,
I don't know.
I would love to see the Rashad of the old, but based on the last couple of fights, I gotta go with Glover.
All right, well, we'll see what happens.
What about you? I
don't know. I haven't talked to Rashad.
You can't pick because you're about to talk to Rashad.
Well, exactly. I haven't talked to Rashad
She's intimidated.
yet. I haven't talked to Rashad yet, so I haven't gotten my vibe.
Okay.
Although, I will tell you though, this is what he texted me earlier. I'll read you this because we were talking about this, and so his head seems to be in the right place because we were talking, and he said, I said, well, I've already talked to Glover, so we need to do this. And he said, oh, is he going to do some bad things to me? Glover said he's going to do bad things to me, and I said yes, but he said it with a big smile. So because it's Glover, it's like the nicest guy in the world. So Rashad wrote me. He said, I live by the jungle creed. The jungle creed says the strongest feed on any prey it can, and I was branded beast at every feast before I ever became a man. So I
got Rashad. I changed my. I love that he did this poetic couple of bars. I mean, because every time I picture Rashad, if he would walk in the house right now, he would walk in and have some music, and he'd have those sunglasses on. Ever since he did the countdown for GSP, and Rashad was in slow motion, and they had that dope music in the background. He's smooth now. Right.
Man. When Sugar's got his flow, he's great. I honestly don't know, but like I said, I do hope to catch up with him and get in his head. But it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think it might take a few rounds for one of these guys to get something done. We talk about the fact that it turned into a 5-round fight with Glover. So I'm not expecting it to be a short fight. I think it's going to take a little time.
And anytime you have a 5-round fight, guys are somewhat hesitant to blow their wad in the first round. But then especially when it's I was trying to think of a different word to use. Didn't happen. You know what I mean.
The funniest thing is though, is you guys always do that. This is a running thing we have at work at Fox 2. Is somebody will say it, one of the guys on the panel, they don't want to say it, but they're really, maybe we need to come up with another phrase, because all the guys are it's tough though, because he went in there and he kind of blew it.
But blow your wad.
But you can't. There's no way you can finish that sentence with anything else, right? So the guys that go, they blew. He
do me a favor, guys. Hit us up on Twitter and let me know what is more polite, blow your wad or blow your load. Because I was gonna go with blow your load.
Oh my God, that's worse.
But that gives you an instant visual.
No, dude,
when you hear blow your load, visually,
blow
your wad, it just kind of hints at it.
So bad.
Let me know on Twitter what I should say, or if you come up with something better, just let me know. That way we'll start using that, and then I'll tell the guys at Fox to start using it. But either way, don't blow it all out. You know what I mean. Don't gas yourself out. I guess that was simple. We got a lot of guys that don't want to gas themselves out in a 5-round fight, and these guys took it on short notice. So we'll see if it's a slow start, and like she said, it might take a couple rounds to get it done. Okay, I was trying to make sure I didn't say anything else.
No, it's good.
Crazy.
Just quit while you're kind of
ahead. I don't know.
Adrenaline dump.
Yeah. There you go. Social media wise, where can folks find you?
Yeah, nothing's changed. At Alan Joban, check me out, and some more. Like I said, I think I said it last episode, but fight announcement coming real soon, guys.
Yeah, I already got the inside story on that. So it's anyway, and you can find me on Twitter at Karyn Bryant. My YouTube channel is also Karyn Bryant. You can also find MMA Heat on Facebook and YouTube and all that on Instagram. I'm KB Heat, and as I said, we've got interviews up with Glover. Hopefully, I'll be getting Rashad later on. We have Lyoto, we have Dan Henderson, we have Beneil Dariush, and looking forward to 199. He also grabbed Dominic and Uriah. So good stuff coming up there. Yeah. So awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for checking out the show, and we'll see you next time.